You pay $1,600, then you have gas, you have your insurance, you have so many things to pay. You're living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people live in paycheck to paycheck, or we have a vast majority of people working on the table and living on the social welfare system, and that is the fact. Welcome to Alberta. And you know, you guys have been asking about Alberta. Those of you who have been following my journey on the other platform, I decided to bring everything here because this is my home decor, home stage and declutter platform. However, I have decided to include the journey living here in Alberta and what it is all about. If you look on my platform, on my channel right now, you will see I created videos in the winter going in minus 30 degrees, minus 40 degrees when there were a lot of cold warning, and I gave you my evaluation on how the weather is in Alberta. So far, winter in Alberta in comparison to Toronto, I prefer the winter in Alberta despite it is colder. Let's explain how the cold is. The cold in Toronto is a wet cold, which means it gets under your jacket, right? The surface of your skin, it's more wet, so it feels a little bit warmer because remember, Toronto is a bit more humid. However, Alberta is cold on the external skin, on the outside of your skin. Like, it's so cold that you feel your face is like cracking up and falling into pieces of paper. You could wear a very nice jacket on you and you don't feel that cold under your jacket. I prefer not feeling cold under my clothes. Even though my eyelash and my nose hair, they're frozen, I still believe that I prefer the cold here than the wet, mushy snow in Toronto. Toronto is wet. Alberta is very dry. That is the comparison. Now, in the winter in Toronto, it is very dark and fog, like it's very dark and gloomy. In Edmonton, the sun is always out, and I feel it's very nice that I could go in my balcony even though it is minus 30 degrees. I feel nice because the sun is always out. It is freaking cold. It is very cold, but the sun is out. I could have a very nice hot cup of coffee in my balcony and some mittens on and drink my coffee even though it turns cold in less than 10 minutes. Yeah, less than 10 minutes. That's how cold it is, right? It is cold, but it is a beautiful cold. This is basically the cold weather. If you are someone, whether or not you are a single parent, I would recommend that you try to get yourself a driver's license. If you're not driving, try to get a driver's license right now. It will do a lot for you moving to the city because the bus system here in Edmonton, I also have a video showing you waiting for the bus in the cold weather. If you have children, it will be cold for you on the outside, so you have to bundle up properly, right? The bus system, especially the Northwest I took, run every half an hour. However, in Toronto, you have the buses, they're running like especially if you live in North York area, Jane Wilson, those areas, every 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, a bus is there. So this is the comparison with the TTC in comparison to the ETS, I believe, here in Edmonton. Edmonton is like a whole circle. I feel it's like a whole circle. That the highway they have here is the 216. The 216 could take you to the Calgary Trail heading to the north, and if you want to go downtown, the Henday 216, and there is the White Mud Highway 2. Everything is very interlinked. Traffic in Toronto is definitely worse than Edmonton. However, traffic in Toronto, it depends on where you get the traffic. You have a lot of intersection that you could break through to get out of a traffic sometimes. Let's say if you're on 401 heading to like Eglinton, Martin Grove, you could take that corner and head to like a specific road where it's Dixon, and you drive in the community and then back on the highway if you take Islington. Edmonton is very different because the way the highway is constructed, not a lot of side roads where you can cut off. I am going to take the highway to the north, to the mall right now. So we are heading to the 216 right now. I love the fact that the highway does not have two-way traffic. It's like one way and you have multiple vehicles driving in one direction. So basically, if there are any collisions, you are really safe to drive on that road because the road there is so wide, multiple lanes going in one specific direction, right? A lot of the main roads as well, they're one direction, not like Toronto where you have, you know, vehicles on this side going, this side going. It's more one direction. If you want to go this way, one direction to the opposite way. In Edmonton, what I find that was very different, I've gotten used to, is the naming of the streets. The names of the streets are more numbered. Avenue, roads, in comparison to Toronto, you have names like Jane Street, Keele Street. Here in Edmonton, it's more 83 Avenue, 104 Avenue, things like that. So it's numbers in comparison to names. I think they might have 1, 2 name street, but everything is written in numbers. Northwest, south, west, east, basically that is it. But you do get to understand it. I would say given about 3 months to about 6 months, you will understand every single thing about Edmonton. Now let's speak about the train system. The train system is very different from Toronto. Toronto, you have a lot of dark tunnels. Here it's more like, it's similar to Vancouver. Vancouver is like SkyTrain. Here it's like more road trains, streetcars. So I love the feel of it. I'll show you. You could see just taking the train, how the train looks. It's more on the outside. If you're coming from the south, the last stop I believe is Century Park, and then you have a stop from the Century Park to the downtown. It doesn't take you more than 30 minutes on the train, and I think Collingwood would be maybe the last stop. I can't recall, but you could see this in the video. Okay, now let's speak about grocery shopping. I have posted a few videos on grocery shopping. If you want to see more of that, let me know. The price comparison, I could tell you, I used to shop at Coppers, also Whole Foods, Ambrosia, because I love plant-based meals. I love shopping at Freshco, sometimes No Frills, depends on what you're getting. I did put a price comparison. You could watch that video to help you see the price comparison if you're thinking grocery is very high here. I've heard a lot of people say the grocery is expensive. However, if you take into consideration the taxes, it's basically the same. I purchased the same things in Toronto and I purchased it here, and I still had a few dollars or cents difference in comparison to Toronto. Again, it depends on where you purchase your food. All right. I heard a lot of people say the meat is expensive. Know where to purchase your food. If you have a Costco card, if you use Costco in Toronto, you could use it here. There is one IKEA store if you're an IKEA person. Since I do a lot of home staging, home decluttering, I love home organization. I want it to be very close to an IKEA. So this is a store I frequent a lot. The prices, they're basically the same, maybe a few dollars difference, but then you're getting the low tax on it. And that is something I love. The low tax in Edmonton, in Alberta, is wonderful. Now, I have visited a lot of places in Ontario. Before moving here, I wanted to get I wanted to fulfill living in Ontario. I've done a lot of trail parks. I've visited Tobermory, the Grotto, Muskoka, you name it. Prince Edwards. I have been a lot of places because I wanted to ensure I gave a full and wonderful evaluation on my transition moving from Toronto to Edmonton. Now let's speak about the renting and then we're gonna go to the jobs. It is affordable to live in Alberta in comparison to the city of Toronto, Toronto neighborhoods, Hamilton, wherever you are, okay? This is what I could tell you. If you are in the North York area and you're looking for apartments right now, the apartments, a lot of the buildings, what they're doing, they're renovating or they're paying a lot of the old residents to leave so they could reconstruct, renovate the apartments and put it a bit more expensive, making it look a bit more high-end with the changing of the apartment. I was in a one-bedroom apartment and that building gave me $3,000 to exit so that they could renovate the apartment and change it into a two-bedroom. I did not live because I really wanted to save money so that I could purchase my home. However, because you're in an older building, what happens is those older buildings have bugs. Yes, they do. All right. So it was me, even though I maintained my apartment, when you're walking in the building, the hallway, you could see stuff walking on the wall. And I just thought to myself, that is just not the way I wanted to live my life. And for me to try to get I had a friend and she bought a home and she would tell me things like, oh, why are you fixing and renovating this apartment? You should try to get out of there, get your home and stuff. Nobody knows how you're leaving. Nobody knows how deep your pocket is. Those things were hurtful when it was being said to me. And I am sitting here thinking to myself, Lord, I really want a place to raise my children and some place where my business could grow. Even though I look for affordable places, they were like $2,500, $1,600. You cannot afford that with a $3,000 paycheck. You pay $1,600, then you have gas, you have your insurance, you have so many things to pay. It takes a chunk out of, you're living paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people live in paycheck to paycheck, or we have a vast majority of people working on the table and living on the social welfare system. And that is the fact. That is a fact. It happens to a lot of people. If you want a better life for your family, depends on what you're looking for. I could tell you, look for the apartments, and getting apartments here based on where I am, Edmonton, I can tell you it was not twice the monthly rent they asked me. They asked me for a down payment, a deposit of $200, and it's a beautiful condominium building I'm in. The condos where we are, they're ranging from about $150,000 for a beautiful condo that is about it has 2 bedroom, 2 bath,